we often simplify karma as cause and effect, action, reaction. Again, it's not wrong, but let's go a little bit deeper in understanding what Eastern traditions talk about with the idea of karma. They also explain that we can understand karma as a compensatory mechanism in nature that's constantly seeking balance. It seeks balance by correcting the flow of life. And in doing so, there's so many facets of cause and effect, action, reaction, that are at play in an incredibly integrated and intelligent and complex manner that for us observing life, often it's difficult for us to ascertain exactly where the cause and effect is related. So to put it simply, when we look at life, it's difficult to make sense of sometimes because we get lost in where things started, how things happened. The ego wants to be able to see clearly that this led to that. But as we know from our own experiences, I'm sure, life is not that simple. So if I say that karma is a compensatory mechanism of nature, what does that mean? What ancient traditions talk about with karma is that it is a principle it's an expression of a principle or law called dharma. In Hinduism, they talk a lot about this idea of dharma as a path, as a trajectory of evolution, which is being regulated by cause and effect, karma. To use another example, in China, there's Tao, which is also this idea of a path, which then is expressed through yin and yang, active and receptive polarities that are complementary. So karma is comprised of active polarities, cause and effect, action, reaction, that are seeking balance. And everything in nature seeks balance or homeostasis. If we leave an environment alone, the ecosystem that develops regulates itself. But in life, there are actions. Our actions have impact, consequences. And so there's a need to redress, balance the impact of our actions. If we take the example of cycling in terms of movement and balance, cycling is a constant state of imbalance in motion. In order to stay balanced, we have to act. We have to keep moving. So if we're veering off course, then as we cycle, we naturally have to correct ourselves. But in life, often when we act, we're not conscious that we're veering off. So karma acts in a way as nature's effort to balance that, to help us to correct our course. The idea of action and reaction is something that we understand even scientifically with Newton's third law. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So if I veer off, if I go towards an extreme, then the process of balancing that will have to create a reaction equal to the action, which can lead to us experiencing what we commonly call suffering. Because if I veer off, if I go away from my path, if I go to an extreme, then the consequence of my action is often some kind of difficulty. Excess generally leads to suffering. It's a kind of a Buddhist principle. Karma's function in nature then is to intelligently create that rebalance. It's not a blind mechanism doling out punishment. Rather, it's something that is intelligently seeking balance in all things. Sometimes I think it's a difficult concept for us in the West. We're heavily influenced by the kind of Judeo-Christian model, which is very based on punishment as a concept. So we feel that these things are punishment. I've done something wrong. It's my fault. But this is simply nature reestablishing balance, which does mean that we have to take responsibility for our actions.